You asked for it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from a world where hats and shoes are in an eternal struggle for dominance over the fashion minerals deep in the mines of the Swiss banks of cheese. And this is Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
I'd watch that episode. Tell you what.
That is one of the great episodes that is still in development over at adultswim.com/Rick and Morty shorts.org net
.org
.io
.ca.
What does the .io stand for?
Money? I don't know. Hey everybody.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon. I just asked because I've seen like some developer community sites. They have the .io.
Yeah, .io. I think that's like an interactive or because I've seen a lot of like web-based games be .ios. So yeah. Let's. If only I had the internet right in front of me.
Well, while you look that up, go ahead and follow us on our social media. We're on Twitter at Rick and Morty Pod, Facebook, facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast, Instagram, Rick and Morty Podcast, where you can send us direct messages there and have conversations with me all the time because I have no job. Well, I'm trying to retire, but that's not the point. Email rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. Over on the web, rickandmorty.reddit.com. There's also the official subreddit, the officially unofficial subreddit, rickandmorty.reddit.com. Our website, Rick and Morty Pod, or rickandmortypodcast.com. It redirects to where it needs to go. We are streaming live, twitch.tv/Apathetic Enthusiasm. You can also watch the recorded video at youtube.com/Apathetic Enthusiasm. You can support the show, TeePublic. You can buy a shirt. You can buy some other things. There's some Running the Bases merch there, even though that show is now
Very
defunct.
exclusive.
And you can also support us directly over at patreon.com/Apathetic Enthusiasm. Now, I gave Travis you plenty of time.
That's right. The IO stands for the British Indian Ocean Territory. Oh wait, no, sorry, I had to scroll. So .io is short for the abbreviation IO, meaning input and output. So,
I was going to say that.
Yeah,
I didn't, but I was going to.
Common in the computing processes, a .io domain is typically an interactive website. You know, like a game, like a.
There you go, like that Snake game.
Yeah.
Or Catan. We did Catan, I think, on there one time.
Yeah, we did. We streamed it at twitch.tv/Apathetic Enthusiasm.
And if you're on twitch.tv/Apathetic Enthusiasm, you might see some of our friends joining the chat. Invited expert 6497, Omar, who I haven't seen in a while, haven't talked to in a while because he doesn't return my calls. Then again, I don't call him. So how can he return it? It's not the point. I send him messages. His kid's really fast. If you want to know all about Omar, hit him up. Invited expert 6497 on Twitch.
Follow him on Twitch.
But how are you doing, Travis?
Oh, I'm swell. I'm just swell. I'm trying to remember how to make this podcast because my goodness, it has been a minute since we sat down to speak exclusively of all things Rick and Morty. We still podcast pretty regularly, mostly regularly. We've had some breaks here in the new year, but yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's good. It's good to be, back in the swing of things with Interdimensional RSS. So, how are you doing? I know you've been a busy bee.
A busy little bee, like Joaquin Phoenix. Yes, I have been a busy little bee. Little bee. I bought a house out here in California. I'm now broke, and so if my internet quality starts to dwindle, it's because I can't afford anything other than dial-up.
Your
with
kid
a
is
14
literally turning a crank out on the side of the house, trying to generate electricity for all the
faster, boy! I gotta get those megabits.
Got a what is it? A global box or something that he's got to step on.
Oh, horty torty. Someone's gonna get laid in college. Um, but yeah. So I did that. I'm working on a career transition in the next year or so.
Full-time
So I've got that
podcaster.
going.
It's finally happening. Jeez.
Yeah, close to it, close to it. So I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to talk about Rick and Morty. I know we haven't done it in a while, and we probably won't do it again for a while after this until we get an interview. But we'll
That's
talk
up
about
to
that.
Adult Swim. Hey. With all of that in mind, and with how long it's been since we've talked about Rick and Morty, there's no excuses for us not to have a whole bunch of semi-pertinent news.
It's semi-pertinent news. It's coming to you live right now to your ears. It goes sound wave out of my mouth, then it goes to your ears, down your ear hole into your drums, booba-dooba-doop, booba-dooba-doop. Then it gets processed by your brain. Left or right doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. It depends on which ear it goes through. Technically, if you're listening to earphones, then it's kind of a stereo thing. So it must be both sides of your brain. I don't know. I'm not a biologist or an anthropologist. I don't know what science is. Semi-pertinent news. How's that? How was that? Was that pretty good?
One take. It only takes one take, everybody.
It only takes one take. I mean, we were practicing ahead of time, but then
He
like,
couldn't
no,
get it
let's
right in rehearsals, but he crushed it on when we go to record. It's amazing.
I love every once in a while. I like started to sound like Kermit at some point in time. I just have that.
Yeah, who knows how the brain works or sound? It hits your drums. It's how it works. Yeah, semi-pertinent news. Lots of things to talk about, and of course, if you have Rick and Morty news stories that you feel are worth us covering, please send those in as well. First, let's start with some really sad news. This is very recent, but shared on Justin Roiland's Instagram, I believe just today, was a tribute to Jerry, his dog, who just died. So here within the last probably couple of days, I would guess, because it said till April 2022. But yeah, some famous characters and tributes to Justin Roiland's dogs in the series, and as well as other properties. And yeah, really heartfelt tribute to Jerry over on Instagram.
Yeah. So condolences to him. I think most of us in life have lost an animal of some kind, and it's always sad. It's always, it's never a happy occasion. So yeah, condolences to him, and if it brings any of you pet traumatic stress disorder, condolences to you as well.
Yeah, sad stuff.
Yeah. All right,
RIPs
let's
to Jerry in the chat. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and say this. Let's. I hate to bring it down even further, but let's talk about the return of the sauce, Travis. That is our next piece of semi-pertinent news.
Yeah, it's back. I mean, Saucegate continues. If you are new to the Rick and Morty fandom, there's a sauce that we refer to pretty much strictly as the sauce at this point. That is, of course, the Szechuan sauce, made famous in that April 1st season 3 premiere, where Rick's whole arc is getting that Mulan Szechuan sauce. Well, McDonald's has brought it back for a limited time, and as far as I can tell, only available when ordering through their app. Yeah, it's so. Once again, the mega fast food conglomerate trying to capitalize on fandoms without actually mentioning them, and leveraging their smartphone app to try and get you to order your phone or your fast food through the app. I don't know. Have you ordered any sauce since it came back?
No, No, I still got a couple packets, I think, from the first time. Yeah, I'm
They
gonna.
got shiny like gold paper
Yeah,
on them or something now.
there,
So
yeah. There's one that says Szechuan. There's a couple of different ones that say se, and then another one that says sh, and then another one that says what, and then another one that says on. They spell out Szechuan.
collect all the sauce. It's the same stuff inside.
Gotta catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Szechuan, one.
Yeah,
It's absurd, man. So for those who have listened to this show before, you know, and for those who are listening, maybe for the first time, we are not fans of. We're okay with the Szechuan sauce as far as Rick and Morty goes, right? Like it's part of the fandom, and we're like it. It was part of a weird time where that sauce created this perception of the fans as being kind of unhinged, toxic, immature schoolboys for a long time. And it's like, okay, well, we got over that. The Rick and Morty subredditors can tell you all about that aspect of it. And then McDonald's came, and then they released the sauce. Don't recognize Rick and Morty at all. Nobody would have cared about the sauce if it wasn't on Rick and Morty again. And then they released like a 3-part podcast just called The Sauce, where they don't talk about Roiland, they don't talk about Harmon, they don't talk about Adult Swim. Like maybe they may have said Adult Swim.
It's worse than that though, because they do talk about them, but they talk around them.
Oh,
they
like a
talk,
popular adult animated show.
And then this show came out that mentioned the sauce, and then everybody was into it, and it's that to me is the bigger dig on the Sauce podcast and everything revolving around Saucegate is that McDonald's could, and Chef Mike out on Twitter, no hate on you, brother. We've had good interactions with you. He's takes a lot of credit for bringing the sauce back because he worked with McDonald's, and it's awesome that they brought the sauce back for fans that were asking for it, but they definitely could have collaborated officially with Adult Swim or with the show in some way. And so to kind of do this in parallel and still try to leverage the popularity of the show without actually giving it real credit, that's the part
Or
that
money.
or money. That's the part that really bugs me.
I know Rick and Morty is all about it's all about capitalism and has much merchandise as there is out there. It's fair, and we're gonna get into partnerships here in a second. Yeah. Still, it just seems they took advantage of a situation, and they botched the first go around because they released the sauce first, and then they released like 8 packets maybe to some McDonald's, and that's when
region. It wasn't even like per store. You could go to the one store in your state and maybe get one of the 8 packets available. I was trying to find my sticker that I got from the original sauce release. It's somewhere in this mess of Rick and Morty merchandise. But I mean, I still have evidence of the early sauce days, but it's
of the botched sauce.
The sauce botch. Yeah.
Anyway. So if you want to go get some sauce, have at it. Use the McDonald's app. Give it a try. It tastes like a sweeter teriyaki. It's all right. It's not my favorite, but give it a go.
If you're a new fan of the show, new fan of this podcast, you somehow missed the first releases, either back when Mulan was a major motion picture and you missed it back in the 90s, or you missed it a few years ago
after the remake came out of Mulan. Live action remake.
You can go try it. That's fine. Make sure you have the app. But I don't know. Let us know what you think if you're new to trying the sauce. But we're moving on from the Golden Arches and moving into potentially another reason why they haven't officially worked with Rick and Morty on the sauce, and that's because the
redheaded arch.
The official fast food of Rick and Morty is, of course, Wendy's, or Morty's in some dimensions. And recently there was a little college basketball tournament, something a little low key, not really too crazy. It
Yeah.
takes place in the month of March.
Yep.
And,
The Fantastic Four.
The Fantastic Four, yes. Yeah, it's March Madness. It's March Madness. I was gonna run
Superhero
with the-
basketball.
I was like the Epic Eight. No, I guess I could have gone with that one. Anyway, Rick and Morty, in their partnership with Wendy's, decided to bring back Morty's restaurants and their food for Morty's Mayhem, an event that took place in Las Vegas for the first weekend of March Madness. And they brought back some of the things that were super popular in the pop-up shops in LA when they did the Morty's event that you got to participate in, to include pickle-flavored Frosties and a LED walkthrough kind of cool, tour day senses situation.
Yeah. So I'm close enough to Vegas that I probably could have just gone up there for the weekend to try it. But this was let's see, the 17th through the 20th of March. It was just for just a few days that weekend.
Yeah.
And I posted it out there on the subreddit and asked if anybody went to let me know how it went. So this is also our Reddit post of the week because I didn't look for most popular. This is the most popular to me because we're counting it. This is by user Roby Kenobi. Roby Kenobi. Sounding it out phonetically, like I got what the name was. Okay. They wrote, just got back from the event. It was super cool. Free pickle frosty, frosty chino, and honey chicken biscuit with fries. Got to go through their portal walkway, which enters a section to eat and win some swag. Everything was free and a really enjoyable experience. And then somebody, Paolo Minux, says, pickle frosty, discuss. Now, when I went through the drive-thru in Panorama City, they didn't have the pickle frosty machine up yet, so I didn't get to try it. I wanted to try it, didn't get a chance to try it. And they didn't have very much swag either, which was disappointing. But this Las Vegas one did have swag. It was cool. So Roby Kenobi answers the pickle frosty question with, it was actually pretty good, green in color, obviously, in a clear plastic cup with the Rick face on it. Tasted like the vanilla frosty base with pickle flavor. Sweet, but not an overpowering dose of pickle. If you enjoy pickles, it was definitely not the worst dessert I've ever had. Garnished with fried pickle chips on top for a pickly crunch. So there you go. There you go. I always wonder, is it dill or is it bread and butter pickle?
It's dill. It's dill. It's and
well, how would you know?
So we're gonna pull it apart.
Bread and butter.
These are the hot takes. This is what the people come to this podcast for. Is this discussion right here? I had a sandwich at Wendy's a couple weeks ago, and it was like a hot honey chicken burger type thing that had the fried pickle chips on it. And they are more of a dill pickle, much like you would have a fried pickle from your local sports bar of choice.
Sure.
Yeah, it's more of the dill variety on those pickles. So yeah, it's
okay. Yeah, that doesn't answer the question about the frosty though.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming you're not going to garnish a sweet pickle frosty with a dill pickle chip. I mean, that just goes against all laws of science. Like that you can't have that. I'm pretty sure that causes some sort of nexus event or something. So it can't happen.
Yeah. Loki shows up and just prunes it all of a sudden.
Exactly.
Spoiler.
Oh, crossovers. Yeah, I don't know. Would you? And I mean, given the opportunity, would you try the pickle frosty? I know I feel like we've asked that question before. I would try it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd love it, but I mean,
I wanted to try it when I waited in that Panorama City line for so long, only to find there was none available. So, yeah, I would definitely try it. again, like you probably wouldn't like it necessarily, or like have it be a go-to. It's kind of like that Miracle Seltzer. Like I would have loved to have tried their
They had
pickle seltzer.
followed through and sent us some.
Not a sponsor.
No, not a paid advertisement.
But
Nor
I would have
I
liked
think
to.
an existing product you can get anymore anyway, so it doesn't really.
No,
really
very
matter.
limited.
Yeah.
Very, very limited.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool. Really cool. Anyways, if you didn't get a chance to check it out, sorry, it's gone now. But chances are Adult Swim will partner with Wendy's again to come up with something in the future.
Yeah.
Hopefully here in LA.
I wonder if when we ever do get an announcement for season 6, if they'll run some sort of ad with, some sort of promotion with Wendy's again. I know for season 5 they were doing the exclusive beverage flavors with like mellow yellow at select Wendy's locations.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But this Wendy's partnership, it's really paying off in dividends. So if only they could get a certain sauce over at Wendy's, that would really, because their nuggets are cheaper too, and they got the spicy nugs. Ooh man.
Oh
anyway.
man, the spicy nugs.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be the Sheshuan. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah.
can't-
Let's move on from that. All right.
Barbecue.
So, it is now April 4th, which means we have passed yet another April 1st, which longtime fans of Rick and Morty know is the anniversary of one of the biggest events potentially to have happened in Rick and Morty fandom. The April 1st premiere, the April Fool's premiere of Season 3 lives on in the history of not only this podcast, but all Rick and Morty fandom as a huge event. And there are still many fans who eagerly await April Fool's Day in hopes that maybe Adult Swim will be unoriginal and just do the same thing again. And maybe just release an episode without telling us. I mean, they released the full episode. They played it on a repeat that entire night. That's like what, 5-6 years ago now. It feels like forever.
Yep.
They've done other things on April Fools that were not equally as interesting, but they have put out some cool stuff. Bush World Adventures, the what is it, Rick and Morty Babies event I think they did last year.
Yeah, and I saw a shirt for Rick and Morty Babies at a box lunch at the mall maybe a couple weeks back. One of those. It's like one of those stores in the mall. Box lunch. Box lunch.
I've been there. They give like proceeds back to people in other countries or something. They give them box.
Yeah. Box lunch. But yeah, by the way, Bush World Adventures still so good. And that guy has gone on to make pretty good shows for Adult Swim. So, but yeah, so this year Adult Swim they didn't want to do just one show. They wanted to take over all of Adult Swim just piece by piece, little by little. And so, Travis, had you ever heard of Learning with Pibby before?
No, I was not familiar with that.
I wasn't either, and our friends over on Twitter, they pointed out that morning, like, oh, look at what's going on, like Learning with Pibby, and then so then I looked it up because I hadn't heard of it. Chase, if you're listening, you're the one who let me know, and I'm better for it. Anyway, this Learning with Pibby, it's maybe like a 3-minute short, and it's supposed to be like kind of like a preschool type of cartoon that all of a sudden gets really dark and everything starts glitching out, and it turns into kind of like nightmare creepypasta fuel.
Yeah.
Well, so for this year's April Fools, they took Learning with Pibby, the character of Pibby, and she has like a little rabbit friend. They show up in the back of promos for Rick and Morty and a couple different shows, and like things start to glitch out. There's a couple different clips with Rick and Morty that glitch out, and it's very, very creepy. Did you catch all of them?
I definitely caught the ones that they promoted on their Instagram, which they were showing a few of them the next day, and then they added to their YouTube channel like a 3-hour block of all of the episodes that they showed with all of the Pibby sort of mutations running through them. There was what's the Parasite episode?
Oh yeah. Total Recall.
Yes, thank you. So that episode, I obviously tons of new characters in that one. So I was kind of skimming, like looking to see if I could find Pibby showing up in parts of that episode. But there's definitely the scene where Morty has Rick at gunpoint in the garage. And there's just this scene where Morty just like his eyes go completely white and like his jaw extends out and he's just glitching, and then it just cuts right back to the episode. So just like really weird. There's a promo that's run several times where it's like Rick and Morty, but it looks like it's in the style of the game Cuphead, and they had some glitchy stuff in that as well. So just some weird little nods to it. That I picked up on, but I don't know. Did you watch a lot of it? Did you watch?
I watched a lot of those clips. I want to throw this out there real fast. It's kind of a divergence from talking about Rick and Morty, but at what point in time did we as a society start saying animated in the style of Cuphead versus animated in the style of the classic animation from
when Cuphead became more socially relevant than 1930s animated cartoons? I mean,
fair enough. Like a singer, like June and Spring.
It harkens back to an early Betty Boop, or perhaps Silly Symphonies, if you will. The color palette is reminiscent of early
spooky skeletons.
Yeah. And now we've made diverging even further. Please come along with us, if you will. As fans of adult animation, you can take this journey with us. Cuphead, globally popular video game that attempts to take a very stylized art style nodding to those early days of animation and make it into a playable video game. Netflix picks it up and decides, hey, we should make an animated series based on Cuphead. Art imitates life, life imitates art. Someone in that world decides, hey, let's not necessarily make it in the original art style of Cuphead, and let's just kind of nod to it, but still make it more of like a modern, like animated series. So
yeah, more like a modern Disney, like the Disney shorts, the Mickey shorts.
Yeah, no hate on the show. I mean, I don't really watch it. My kid does, but you're not wrong. Missed opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
You're not wrong in that assessment. We'll talk about that on our next Apathetic Enthusiasm, actually, because I think that's a good conversation to have, because we both watched some of it and I'd love to talk about it. Anyways, that's it for April Fool's Glitches. It was cool. Go check it out. All the I think there's on the Adult Swim's YouTube, you can catch it all. Okay, speaking of catching all of it. Okay. Second reference. If you want to catch every episode of Rick and Morty up until the end of season 5, well, good news. The Rick and Morty season 1 through 5 DVD/Blu-ray set is out there and available. So if last year you said, "Ooh, I need all 4 seasons of Rick and Morty," and you bought the seasons 1 through 4 collection, well, time to take out that wallet and shell out some more cash for seasons 1 through 5 in one big collection.
Yeah, I don't
know how much there's to talk about.
Here's where we stand. I mean, I'm showing it off on the video, right? Seasons 1 through 5 on Blu-ray. Physical media is dead. No one no one will doubt that, right? I've got all 5 seasons on Blu-ray. I don't think I've ever popped the season 5 Blu-ray into a Blu-ray player. They all came with digital copies. But I had already purchased all of season 5. Did you not redeem my digital copy?
Definitely,
Brandon?
definitely,
I
redeemed it.
had already purchased the entire 5th season on like iTunes because we were reviewing the show, and I don't pay for cable because I feel like it's an outdated, business model. And no offense, Adult Swim, who makes all your money off the cable industry. Anyway, yeah. So but I'm collecting them to have because Rick and Morty's part of my life, and that's something I'm always gonna have, right? I will not buy a DVD collection until the series is done.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, I'll buy it. Excuse me, nobody's talking to you, Siri. Jeez. Anyway, I own the entire Lost series collection on Blu-ray. It's way up there with a figure of Charlie.
No shame. No shame. Proud.
Love that show. Always will. And having the entire collection together in like a box set, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. When I saw seasons 1 through 4 come out as a collection, I was like, bit of a cash grab, because like then season 5 comes out and you have another collection. So I mean, maybe this is a way for those of you, if you haven't been able to get a hold of the past seasons and you just want to get a jump start and buy them all at once. Yeah, you could do that. Not for me. Not my deal. I will either wait until all of the series is done and get a collection in that way, or just keep buying them digital copies.
Well, the thing about digital collections, even when the series is over, they're going to find a bajillion ways to repackage and repurpose it and sell it over and over again.
Oh yeah.
I have at least 2 Twilight Zone collections of the original series, and then there's a Blu-ray one that I haven't picked up that I wouldn't mind picking up, but I'm like holding off. Like I have them already.
Yeah.
So like that is an example. The Simpsons has been on forever, as basically as long as I've could make a joke on my own. I wipe my own butthole when I'm pooping in the morning and the evening sometimes, and sometimes in the middle of the day, depending on if I was late. But I've like picked up seasons, a couple here and there. Maybe because that show will never die until some of the main
on infinite.
Yeah. There will never be a full collection of Simpsons until that happens. And I don't think
if it did, it would be like $1 billion to because it's just so many episodes. It's be ridiculous. Yeah,
that's true. So here's the Rick and Morty seasons 1 through 100 on DVD.
Yeah, all for 100 times the cost of an HBO Max subscription. So where you can get all 5 seasons streaming now on HBO. So
that's right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on, Travis. We got other stuff to talk about, and we've talked a lot about semi-pertinent stuff. But before we move on to the main event, as they call it, somebody calls it, not us. There's something that we haven't done in a while. It's called the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
Dan Harmon. Social media.
In through one ear to your brain.
It hits the drums. It hits the drums, and then it's a song. I don't know how brains work. Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. Okay, so if you are a fan of Apathetic Enthusiasm, God bless you. Whew. But yeah, we had our annual Oscar special last week where we talked all about the Academy Awards. I know just over a week has gone by, but it feels like this is, been front of mind for a long time. and that is, of course, the Oscars. So in a recent Dan Harmon, this is from 3 days ago, Dan Harmon on Instagram posts a lovely photo of his dogs just laying there, motionless, lifeless. And Dan Harmon says, "I hope you're all happy. Your Oscar takes killed my family." If you want to hear our Oscar takes, this is a shameless plug for Apathetic Enthusiasm. You can go check that out, where we talk all about the slap heard around the world and a whole lot more. We actually spend a lot of time talking about movies and things like that. Yeah, Dan's doing his thing. There's a lot of stuff that Dan has been through, or that he's dealt with since the last time we did an episode of this. He did a whole series where he had comics of people with no pants on talking to each other. He crashed his like motorized scooter, I think, and then built a cool little stand where his little motorbike could like lock in, and he could park it, and then he could turn around. So the man is busy. Is he busy making Rick and Morty? Who's to say? But he's got a lot going on. So if you want to hear all about the things that Dan Harmon has going on, make sure to follow him on Instagram at Dan Harmon. He doesn't need our help. He's got 518,000 followers. He's doing just fine. But that's your Dan Harmon social media minute, everybody.
We need his help, is what we need.
Signal boost us, Dan.
Yeah, which is probably the worst way to get him to signal boost us. So we take that back.
I'm just gonna start spamming his Instagram. It feels like the best.
Harmon Block 2020.
Harmon Block 2022. Yeah. All right, that's Dan Harmon's social media minute, and that is semi-pertinent news. Lots of things to talk about. Honestly, in the last few months, it's felt like there hasn't been a lot of news to discuss. So we've grasped it at all of these things worth discussing, and we have missed you guys, but we have found something to build into a main thing for you. And so without any further ado, let's get right into it. It's time for the main thing.
I had the jazz hands for that.
You did it, guys. You should start timing those to exactly 30 seconds so that friends of the podcast can hit the jump 30 seconds button on their podcaster of choice.
I have to make it longer then, just so friends of the podcast will have to sit through some point.
Yeah.
My song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I ever use that button when I listen to podcasts. That's certainly not something I do.
Certainly not.
No, absolutely not. All right, it's time for the main thing, and this week we are revisiting some content that we discussed. We actually had some friends on to discuss with us quite a while ago. That is, of course, Rick's New Hat. This is a comic series written by Alex Führer and drawn by Fred Stressing, and they're just great guys. Can we just
They're great guys.
Saying that? They're great. They're just great.
I think we should start by saying they are great guys. They're both fun. They both talk to us on Twitter. And I've talked to Alex on my own personal Twitter. He may hate me, but he doesn't show it, and I love Alex for that. But yeah, the great guys. We talked to them before. They worked on the Bird Person standalone comic. They came out with this new comic, Rick's New Hat. It's a 5-issue series. It is out now in trade paperback, so you can go pick it up on Amazon, preferably your local comic book store if they have it. I actually went to a place off the 405, just right off the 405, I think, in Torrance.
California is showing hard right now.
Yeah, and I walked in and I said, "Do you have Rick's New Hat?" And they said, what? And then I said, I just did like the Grandpa Simpson where I where I put the hat on the thing and then walked back out. But yeah, it's everywhere. You can purchase it. I read it on my Kindle. And when I say my Kindle, I mean my Kindle app. It was on my phone.
Yeah.
But you can do it. Comixology. Colored by Andrew Dahlhaus. Letters by, of course, the one and only Crank. Our synopsis. Rick's got a new hat in this one, bruh.
That's right.
Our synopsis. Rick gets a new hat, bruh. Needs to discover the rules of science, bruh. I don't know why I doubled up on that. Sorry, Travis.
You use more bruhs in our synopsis than the pronopsis.
Too many bras, bro. But this
entire genre is on its ear. What's going on?
We have the actual synopsis from the comic, which is, by the way, published by ONI Press. The actual synopsis is: when Rick and Morty buy the greatest hat in all the multiverse, it attracts an evil so banal that even our intrepid adventurers may not be able to stop it. In true comics event tradition, this one features everyone from Rick and Morty to Mr. Poopy Butthole, Pickle Rick, and more. A faux crossover event from the evil geniuses behind Rick and Morty presents Bird Person.
So
yeah,
we talked to Alex about this when the first issue of Rick's New Hat was coming out. But this idea of a faux crossover, and he kind of broke that down for us a little bit more. Comics have always had crossover events. It's a tradition as old as the art form itself, right? And
as old as time. That's all.
I was gonna keep singing it, but I thought better of it. Alex is a huge comics fan, and it comes through in this story for sure. And he really pays tribute to different genres, different styles of comics, different forms of storytelling in comics, and uses this faux crossover event to also bring in so many fan favorite characters throughout a zany madcap adventure where Rick and Morty have to go and find these the 3 rules of science. Because spoilers, Rick becomes like a dumb Rick. He gets this new hat that limits his ability to be smart, and so then he has to go, and it's like a nerfed version of Rick. He doesn't have the ability to use all of his cool science gadgets and things, and they kind of go on this adventure through all kinds of different worlds, and it's really fun. It's we've talked about it before, but especially in these times where the lulls between seasons get to be too long, and you just really want some new Rick and Morty related content. It's a great read to kind of revisit these characters and see a new spin on them.
You're right about that. This. I want to go back to what you said briefly about the tribute to genres and styles. One of the things that is so cool about Alex and Fred, I guess you're cool too.
Fred,
what's cool what's cool about is just like listening to him. If you think of yourself as a comics fan, comics history fan, and you think you kind of have that imposter syndrome about you. No, you are. I feel like you're definitely an imposter when you're talking to Alex, because he really does know a lot of stuff. Some of the, in I think like issue 4, there's tribute to specifically different comic styles.
Yes.
And like the big resolution of that issue is where Morty finds himself at some point in time, and it's like this. It's this classic old school German type of art form, and they do a magnificent job with it. You know what I'm talking about with that, right, Travis? Like the
are you talking about the German children's afterlife, or so Yeah, so all of the third issue,
Oh,
uh,
third issue.
there Rick and Morty have died as a way of escaping, out of one situation, and then they are passing through various versions of the afterlife, trying to talk their way out of it. And at some point, Morty gets separated from Rick and ends up in a children's German storybook type afterlife with all these like really bizarre, like half children, half like demented creature type things. There's a kid that's like on fire. There's one that's got like these long fingernails and like
Yeah.
giant scissors and things like
It's
that.
like
Yeah.
it's like if you had like an old book with Grimm's fairy tales in it, and it's like what that would look like. The drawings would look like in that Grimm's fairy
Yeah.
tale book.
Which
Uh,
credit to Fred for capturing and depicting so well visually a lot of the ideas that Alex is describing, in the story. The work that they do together to really capture those genres, and when you move to issue 4, where it's actually going through some of those genres, and you have the more like edgy adult comic where it's like
that's right.
less superhero-y and more just like slice of life type. The art style changes in the comic, and then they go through this whole
It's
phase.
like Ghost World, like a Ghost World.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So indie books and all these things, they just do a really good job of still telling the same story throughout, but allowing them to really kind of bend genres, and it's a love letter to comics in general, really, like when you look at it collectively.
It's so cool to me. It's so cool to me that an artist gets a chance to demonstrate all the different types of art that he can learn, he or she can master, right?
Sure.
Like I can draw one character and I can't even draw that one character well. So to like take out some art books and be like, okay, how do I draw this? And then get good GUD at stuff, and then put it in a series is just fantastic to me. So really credit to him, also Andrew Dahlhaus for coloring it too, because the colors were really solid. And I do want to say, like, also about the artwork, some of the splash pages, the 2-page spreads that are in the series. I think there's at least maybe one an issue.
Yeah.
Just so damn good. They're so damn. I'm just in awe by it,
Yeah,
realistically.
the one at the beginning of, I think, issue 3, where they had just gone through like the 500 deaths or whatever, and it's got like this like cascading like line of like all these like deceased Mortys or whatever and stuff, and then it like cuts into like they joke about 100 different deaths, and then there's like just like really benign like ways to die that they have to deal with, like, oh, living a long and healthy life, and your family not knowing how to process it or something. They're like sitting there on their phones next to.
That's right.
Yeah, like there's some solid stuff in
Yeah, for sure. Now I mentioned five issues is this collection. It's a solid story. You already kind of pointed out like the three laws that they have to find for Rick to regain his intelligence. Is there anything that stood out to you about the story? We talked a lot about the art, but how about the story?
there. The story itself, it's funny to me because the comics always kind of balance on this tightrope of utilizing all the same characters from the show, telling very similar stories, but existing in a uniquely different universe separate from the show itself. So there were a lot of things that happened where they break the fourth wall like throughout the series, and they say, yeah, we're going back to our home, not CU-137, but like I think Wikipedia told me it's like C-131 or something like that, right? And and so they're playing with that, and I was trying to think of another example where I think it was something with Mr. Poopy Butthole and the Cronenberg Planet or something like that, where they they're nodding to these things that happened, but also making it very clear that this is not like the same Rick and Morty that exist in the show, and so they can take those liberties a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. In terms of the story, I felt like the concept itself of this thought giving overlord that is has made all these Ricks throughout history like super intelligent and things like that. It I suspended my
Show knowledge.
my show knowledge and my thoughts on show canon to be like, all right, like this feels a little like time travel-y and like Ricks throughout history. I don't, but it's comics. It's fine. Okay, we can do this. It's cool. But for me, the things that stood out were more of those runs through like exploring different ideas. The Cronenberg Planet for me was not as exciting, but when they got through all like the different afterlives and the depictions of that and their ways of finagling their way through all of them, that stuff cracked me up. And then obviously
Tokens, please.
yeah, tickets please. Yeah, the way that they reuse some of those characters, and even just like little nods to recent characters like Noob and some of those, or not Noob, but what's the guy? Do not develop his app. Who's that guy? Gluty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they have some drawings of him and things in there, which are really cool to see.
Yeah, in the background of a lot of the issues, there are side characters and like that don't have a speaking role in the show, but there are still there. Talk about Gluty. There's a couple of different aliens that are from the show in the background. The kid with the A on his hat is in a panel as well. And yeah, so I think like adding those things like are nice little details to show that Alex and Fred are also fans of the show, and they're not just there doing a money grab thing. You know what I'm saying? They're not, or maybe they are.
Please buy the book. They have children to feed. So
yeah, they do. At least one of them does. I don't know about.
I mean, it says that at the end of one of the issues, so I'm just rolling with it.
I do want to say you mentioning the show canon thing. I think this is no fault of ONI Press and the folks who are writing and drawing these comics, but that is one thing that kind of I have a not a hard time, but it's noticeable time with having to remove yourself mentally from knowing how the season just went with the CFC, right? Central Planet Curve.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff and Rick's creation of it and him creating his own little multiverse nursery for a baby, and then going to these comics and then seeing how the comics are resolving and their own internal kind of backstory of where Rick comes from, and that it is a hurdle to get over initially, to be like, okay, this was done before the show came out. The writers of the show didn't talk to the writers of the comics to tell them what was going on. The same thing with Bird Person, right? Like it doesn't match with what we know of Bird Person as far as show canon goes. But it's still a really good issue. And same thing with Rick's New Hat. It doesn't follow the canon, but I still think overall it is a very, very good collection.
And if you can subscribe to the idea that there are infinite dimensions of Ricks and Mortys, you can ride through these stories with a different version of Rick and Morty and not let it affect your feelings about the show or anything like that.
But there's one caveat for that, and the caveat is the comics need to kind of explicitly take themselves out of that and say we're not the show.
Sure.
Because I think there's a line that all the comics kind of ride, where like, are they or aren't they? Because
referring
even
back to things that happened in episodes and doing those sorts of things. Yeah, absolutely.
and even saying like C-137, C-131, that is riding a line of being like, because if there's a C, then there's probably like how many, it's infinite. There has to be
Sure.
so many other letters and numbers. I don't
know.
because
Maybe
I don't.
the central finite curve only had C's, and maybe
Yeah, I guess I don't understand the Dewey Decimal System of
Welcome
the multiverse.
to theory crafting for Rick and Morty.
But anyway,
and yeah. Other thoughts and any final thoughts on the issues? I think it's awesome that they were given the opportunity to do this 5-issue run, and that it's all out now as a trade paperback for people's collections. I don't know. It's good stuff, and it's good to fill that gap.
it is indeed. It is indeed. And the good news is that I have on more than one occasion hit up Alex, hit up Fred to see if they would come on the show and talk about the rest of the series. So if you're interested in that, good news, it's going to happen. If you're not, well, we'll title it something different so that we surprise you with it in a future episode. It'll probably be after I move though, because internet, yeah, blah blah blah. But that is something that we have planned, is to talk to Fred and Alex about the comic. And yeah, if you have questions, if you are interested in that, make sure you follow them on Twitter. I'll get you their information, or you can send us questions as well, and we can reach out to them. I think I'm pulling.
Yeah, while you pull those up, let's do what is our final and maybe favorite segment on this podcast, which is of course listener suggestions and short outs. We have a few short outs from the Twitch community. Peace Among Ricks, thank you for following over on Twitch a mere 14 hours ago. Also, invited expert Homar, thank you again for joining us here. What you got any Insta folks you want to shout out?
Oh yeah. I was up in DC a couple weeks back, and one of our Instagram followers, who hits us up all the time, she's oh, you're come to Baltimore. And then so I didn't go to Baltimore. I didn't go to a thrift store. I didn't get robbed by homeless people. I don't know. I forget. Or go to an outlet store. Didn't do that. I wanted a jacket. Mia didn't give me a jacket, and so I'm kind of upset at her and her family, and I'll never shout her out again until I see that jacket, real or fake, doesn't matter. But I need to see that jacket. Anyway, shout out to Mia for skipping my audio cues, unless she's in the video chat.
Yeah, pretty sure she's hanging out on Twitch as well. Yeah. I think that. Okay. Oh, did you find their handles? Did you find their?
Sure as hell did. Follow Alex Fearer at Alex Fearer, Firer on Twitter, and then Fred Stressing as Fred C Stressing, FRED C as in Charlie, and then Stressing with only one S, STRESING. Over on Twitter, follow them both. Let them know what you thought of the show, of this show. Also, the book, if you read it, or what you think of the idea of their book, or if you liked Bird Person, whatever. Just follow them.
Yeah,
that's all I'm asking.
Nice. Just be nice. Follow them. All right, I think that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for continuing to subscribe to this podcast. I know it's been tough with no new episodes, but hopefully, with any luck, Adult Swim will let us know at least a release date sometime in the next couple months, and then we can get back to reviewing episodes alongside with you, Unity. And we appreciate your continued support. If you are new to this podcast or you're just finding it for the first time, subscribe. It really helps us out, and it continues to help other people to find it. If you're finding us on YouTube or Twitch, you can subscribe or follow us there. Leave a comment, leave a like, do all those things. We appreciate it. And until Brandon has quality internet again, this has been Interdimensional RSS. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you later. Coming to you live from a world where hats and shoes